So the White House gets closer to beating China with a historic return to the moon with the Artemis crew capsule arriving at NASA this weekend.
But key projects like this space race are currently on pause thanks to the government shutdown, now day 20.
Yeah, China is not pausing. Transportation Secretary and Acting Administrator of NASA, Sean Duffy, joins us now. Sean, great to see you.
Good morning.
So the shutdown affects you guys to what degree?
Yeah, no, so we've worked really hard with President Trump to make sure that we don't delay in the space race. We want to make sure that NASA and the critical missions like Artemis, we have our NASA scientists and technicians still working on the project, which, by the way, you just showed the picture of Orion. We are at the process of bringing Orion, which is the capsule that takes the astronauts to the moon first time in 54 years, Brian. They're going out to the moon and back. We're about to join it with the rocket. This is exciting. It was supposed to go by April of next year. We think that we're going to be able to move it up to February if all goes well. But again, it's exciting. There's some science projects that Democrats love that those projects have been paused. But everyone at NASA who's working on projects like Artemis, they're working right now without pay.
So, Sean, how are y'all picking up the pace? How are y'all speeding this process up?
Yeah, so we're on track for Artemis 2, right? That's, again, out to the moon and back. But Artemis 3, Lawrence, is when we land back on the moon. That's going to be about 1.5 years, 2 years from now. SpaceX has the contract. SpaceX, an amazing company. They do remarkable things, but they're behind schedule. And so the president wants to make sure we beat the Chinese. He wants to get there in his term. So I'm in the process of opening that contract up. I think we'll see companies like Blue get involved and maybe others. We're going to have a space race in regard to American companies competing to see who can actually get us back to the moon first. But I feel pretty confident with this competition, we're going to beat the Chinese and do it in President Trump's term, so before 2029, January.
Little competition doesn't hurt.
Always works, Ainsley.
Yeah, as far as the shutdown is concerned, there are 13,000 air traffic controllers that received their last partial paycheck days ago. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, so first off, I want to say thanks to all of the air traffic controllers who show up to work. They're doing great work. They got a partial paycheck a week ago Tuesday. Their next paycheck comes a week from Tuesday. And in that paycheck, there will be no dollars. They don't get paid. And so I think what you might see is more disruptions in travel as more of them look to say, how do I bridge the gap between the check that's not coming and putting food on my table? And we've heard they're taking Uber jobs. They're doing DoorDash, figuring out ways to keep their families afloat. I mean, it's a very real problem, Ainsley. And again, a lot of them are paycheck to paycheck. So I hope we don't see more disruptions. But as this gets closer to payday, I think you could see more of that through the airspace. And again, I don't want that. But I think the message is Democrats, open up the government. Again, it's important for space. It's important for air travel. It's important for America to negotiate with Republicans, pass this clean CR. Forget about the illegals for now. Have the conversation when everyone's back at work, and we're in a better place to negotiate and have conversations.
So, a couple of things. Here's the debate going back and forth on the shutdown, and they're both pointing fingers at each other. Listen.
We will get out of this shutdown within a matter of days or hours once the president engages.
The president has spent 1 hour negotiating this issue with leadership in Congress. That's it, 1 hour. They need to get in the room and stay in the room until we can hash this out.
Republicans are in charge, and Republicans are responsible for everything that happens or fails to happen in Washington, D.C.
So first off, just to be clear, your viewers know this, Brian, because you talk about this a lot. Republicans passed a bill in the House. In the Senate, you need 60 votes. You need Democrats to vote to open up the government. So actually, Democrats are in charge to make sure we can get the government fully funded and functional again. But listen, what is the president going to engage on? The president's a great negotiator. He loves to cut deals. Like, this is his jam. He loves this kind of scenario where he can come in and figure out a pathway forward. The problem is Republicans have said, we're going to give it a clean CR. Democrats want to hold the American people hostage with funding the government, so the president really has nothing to negotiate on. It's one thing if the president and Republicans had put in certain riders, certain priorities, certain funding priorities in this bill, and Democrats wanted to negotiate those things out. They didn't. It's clean. We're going to continue funding the government. in October the same way we did in January. In September. So Republicans really have nothing to negotiate on. Democrats are the ones who actually want to hold us hostage and make sure we fund illegals' health care in the negotiation, which is not going to happen. That's a non-starter.
Yeah, so the president, Mr. Secretary, has made it very clear, some of your programs, Democrats, are going to be impacted by this. Air traffic control is not one of them, though. So for timeline purposes, how soon is it where it starts to impact air traffic and you got to start doing layoffs?
So here was the benefit for us. We got $12.5 billion in the big, beautiful bill. It's a part of the money I need to fix air traffic control. So I have the resources. That project is moving forward. We're going to come out with our integrator, our project manager in the first week of November. So that's all in the process. We're not going to fire critical safety workers like air traffic controllers. But again, I think at one point you get government workers who see a prolonged shutdown and they have to look for other job opportunities because, again, they have mortgages, they have car payments, and they have food for their families they have to put on the table. And so what we could see is a number of workers decide to exit government and go somewhere else. And if they're the critical safety jobs, that's what's the problem. And again, we get controllers who, again, they've been working really well with us. I'm concerned about in the next week when they don't get a paycheck. And they've worked, but these are not just 40-hour-a-week jobs. In many of these centers or towers, they're working 50, 55 hours a week because we don't have enough air traffic controllers. I'm trying to address that problem. I'm surging air traffic controllers. It's going to take me years. But because we're such short-staffed, they're working mass overtime. And again, Democrats aren't going to pay them. And I think, again, there's a lot of frustration with those controllers being forced to work full time. By the way, this weekend, Democrats at the DNC in D.C., they had a rooftop party. So they're drinking wine and beer and hard alcohol, partying during a shutdown. All the while, you have other workers going to work, working overtime, and not getting paid for it. It shows how out of touch Democrats truly are with what the priorities are for Americans, which is, again, don't fund illegal aliens' health care and opening the government up, but instead Democrats are having a yay old time drinking hard liquor, wine and beer, and partying on top of their headquarters.
And if you were paid hourly, Rachel could retire because you are working around the clock. Thanks, Sean Duffy. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. Great to see you.